the Rhine on Taj on 92.3 FM. It's just about 29 minutes now before the 9 o'clock hour. We do have a feature now with the compliments of Dairy as we prepare our body and minds during this holy time. Here's a wholesome recipe brought to you by Dairy, the milky milk. Fill up on possibility. Here's your presenter, Christy Marie Kanhai.
Today's Ramadan recipe is
After this, a few commercials and we go on.
Sure. Half pound ground beef, a half cup onion minced, 2 teaspoons garlic minced, 1 teaspoon paprika,
They speak Patwa, Bhojpuri,
half teaspoon black
Hindi, French and Dutch.
French and Dutch.
And English as well.
Yeah, well, that's-
Yeah.
Method. Soak skewers in water for approximately 20 minutes to avoid burning. Preheat oven to 350 degrees. In a large bowl, combine all ingredients. Place a bowl of the beef mixture in your palm and roll onto skewer. Place on a baking sheet lined with foil. Bake for about 20 minutes, then flip kebabs and bake for another 10 to 15 minutes. Serve alone or with a side dish of your choice. And that was your Ramadan recipe for today.
All right, thank you very much, Christy Marie. That nourishing recipe was brought to you by Dairy, the milky milk. Fill up on possibility of peace and blessings during this holy time. We take a short commercial break. When we come back, I did indicate to you we do have a guest in studio today. He's Dr. Visham Bhimul.
These tough times, one ingredient better to stretch by ways. Thank goodness, Dairy pounded milk fits.
Man radiallahu anhu said, "O messenger of Allah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, tell me of an action by which I may enter paradise." He said, "Take to fasting. There is nothing like it." Imam Nisai, Ibn Hibban, Al-Hakim Sahih. Ramadan greeting from the Rice Club supermarket.
Here we come. Barbecue Expo starts on Thursday the 16th of May until Monday the 18th. Right to get opposite Metro gas station Sharon. Dress to impress for Indian Arrival Day. Look elegant with our amazing outfits.
Design your own. Meet our in-house fashion designers and design a made-to-order garment.
This Eid, we have the latest variety of Islamic wear only at Barbecue Expo.
Featuring royal and antique furniture from Jaipur. Authentic Indian food court.
11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Barbecue Expo opposite Metro gas station Sharon. Closing on June 10th. Check us out today.
India's most wanted, the most fast-paced, tense action thriller of the decade is here. This Indian arrival celebrates the victory of good over evil. Celebrate the triumph of patriotism over terrorism. Be part of the worldwide release of the once-in-a-lifetime entertainer, India's most wanted. See Arjun Kapoor in the most defining role of his career as he fights to save his motherland in India's most wanted. No guns, no glory, only guts. Witness to the untold true story of the capture of India's Osama. Join the manhunt from Friday and continuing exclusively at the Mecca of Entertainment, Southbox numbers 10 in San Fernando. Don't miss the truly unique movie experience. See India's Most Wanted.
Trending now, hashtag WSB. We sound better. Taj 92.3 FM.
All right, it's now 24 minutes before the 9 o'clock hour. I did indicate we do have a guest this morning in studio. He's Dr. Visham Bhimul. Doc, good morning. Let me say welcome once again to Taj 92.3 FM.
Sitaram, dhanbad ehi neuta awe ke karan. Well, hello and thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, you gave us a few lines in Bhojpuri.
Yes, I did, and I translated. Thank you and thanks for the opportunity.
All right, I know that you were focusing on an event that is taking place tomorrow, the 28th of May from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Audiovisual Room, the Alma Jordan Library at the University of the West Indies. And I'm seeing the headline on this flyer, Trinidad Bhojpuri, Decoding Identity. can you give us an explanation as to exactly what does that mean?
Essentially, at least within common knowledge among Indo-Trinidadians or Indo-Caribbean people, they know that the language of the ancestors, within the context of now Indian Heritage Month, was Bhojpuri and not Hindi, and Bhojpuri being a separate language from that of modern standard Hindi, like Portuguese and Spanish. In looking at that, one wonders, well, if we learn Hindi, if we actually gravitate toward the language of our ancestry and our identity. The Hindustani language, which Bhojpuri would have been called during indentureship and after that, essentially was lost in Guyana and Trinidad, still spoken in Suriname. The impression, though, at least when I was a child, is that it was Tutti Putti Hindi or broken Hindi, but it's not. It actually is a completely separate language from Hindi, and I think the code and identity speaks to the fact that I want to carry that message forward, that Bhojpuri is the language of our ancestors. It's a language in its own right, has its own syntax, its own grammar, its own semantics, and is separate and apart from modern standard Hindi.
All right, so what you're saying is that Hindi is very different from Bhojpuri.
Yeah. I could demonstrate if you want. In standard Hindi, you would say, I'm going to Tobago tomorrow. Kal main Tobago jaunga. My nanny would say, Bihan hum Tobago jaye. So you see, it sounds completely different.
All right, and now, have you been to India within recent times? Have you been to any part of India that they speak the Bhojpuri language?
Kabhi nahi hua gaile. I never went to India, but I am in communication through Caribbean Hindustani. Now, Caribbean Hindustani is on Facebook. It was set up by myself, and it's towards educating people on this particular language. What I do find, though, is that I do interviews with old people who still speak Hindustani in Trinidad in an attempt to continue that archiving and recording. And a lot of them from India, from those areas, originally from those villages, would look at it and say, well, they can't even speak this language anymore, but they remember their grandparents speaking it. So one, I said village, so that it speaks to our identity regarding people from the villages in Bihar coming this way. A lot of times I find, even if you would look at modern Indian Bhojpuri, it has a lot of Hindi in it. But certain words we use, like Latbesar, and my Kiriya, my nanny used to say that, you would not find it in the general modern day Indian Bhojpuri speaking peoples. If you go back to the village, you'd find those words.
You have a passion for Bhojpuri, I can gather, but I know that you speak several other languages, right? You speak French and what is it, Patois, several other languages. Why this love or passion for Bhojpuri?
The reason I learned the other languages was in search of Bhojpuri, because so I go to the Netherlands and Suriname often, and a lot of the material about Sarnami, which is the same language that we're promoting here, is the same language as Trinidad Bhojpuri. It's in Dutch, so I need to know the language in order to access that information.
Right.
You also have to remember the French also has East Indians in those places of the Lesser Antilles, in the French-speaking country, and the records and information would be in French. So that I found it very easy to access the information by dialoguing in these languages with those who did the research, and also looking in the records, in the books, in the literature.
Right, so all four parents came from Uttar Pradesh, basically.
So they came from the Bhojpuri speaking belt. The Bhojpuri speaking belt is essentially Western Bihar, and it goes to Jharkhand. Jharkhand is no longer Bihar, but during British time, Jharkhand was southern parts of the Bihar state, and eastern Uttar Pradesh. So that's the majority of, or at least the highest density of recruitment came from that area.
Okay, those are three areas. All right, and would you say that the Bhojpuri language in Trinidad has been lost, so to speak?
In linguistic terms, yes. Once you have you don't have children speaking the language, it wouldn't be passed on. And well, if it wouldn't be passed on, then it's not alive. So right now, people in their winter years speak it, and I think that within the next 10 years, they will no longer be around.
Wow.
So if that's the situation, then yes.
All right. So when these Indians came from these three parts of India, Bihar and Uttar Pradesh and Jharkhand, from your research, they spoke Hindi or Bhojpuri, or they spoke both?
So I'm referring to Peggy Mohan because her research was
Right.
also in this, and she would have done that detailed research. Her great grandmother, I believe, spoke Khari Boli, which is modern standard Hindi. You have to remember, during indentureship, Khari Boli, a modern standard Hindi, was not established as the official standard at that point in time. When they came, the language of the Ramcharitramanas, which was Awadhi, and the language of Surdas and Mirabai, which is Braj Bhasha, was the standard.
All right. What I want to do now is for people to be able to understand a little bit better what we are talking about. I want to play for you something in Bhojpuri. It's a beautiful language, and many of the songs you see now are being performed both in Trinidad and even in India. Some of the chutney type songs, they are in Bhojpuri. But these folks I'm going to play now, obviously this is out of India, and I think they have taken a very modern approach to this song. All right, that's a Bhojpuri song, and I have dabbled quite a lot in Bhojpuri songs. They're really very melodious, but somehow every time I play one, I kind of get the impression that the song's very close to that of our local chutney songs.
Yeah, it does. You could see this evolution is a bit different in the whole modern interpretation. You also have to look at even music from Mauritius and Fiji. Their history, just like ours, bear our Spanish history in the beat. I don't know if you understood what was going on.
Not that one, no.
Yeah, essentially he was saying that he thinks about her all day, he sees her in his dreams at night, and then she says, well, take my hand and let's go dance on the dance floor. That's essentially, you could go word for word, but based on what I heard, that's a synopsis.
All right, let's talk specifically about your effort, or your efforts, and who is associated with you. as you look forward to this event tomorrow evening at the University of the West Indies. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Your sister station, that's TV6, I had done a 4-part beginners Bhojpuri lesson series, so that it was available in the public domain. And now the university has asked me to do a talk on Trinidad Bhojpuri, and I named it Decoding Identity. It will take place tomorrow in the Alma Jordan Library, that's the main campus library in St. Augustine, on the 3rd floor audiovisual room. From 5 to 7 p.m. The public is invited. You have to RSVP because there's limited spacing. You can RSVP via email. That'll be Kumari, Kumaree dot Ramtahal, Ramtahal at sta.uwi. You could also call 662-2002 and extensions 82263, 82009 or 82134 to RSVP and come. But in that presentation, I am Dr. Peggy Mohan. She has done her or had done her thesis on Trinidad Bhojpuri morphological study. So a lot of the work I do is based on that. I have continued her work by continuing to interview those who still speak the language in Trinidad, those over 85 of Indian origin. And also I've encountered documents that was written in the language in Devanagari and Kaiti script. During an internship, Devanagari, just like Hindi, wasn't the standard. In Bhojpuri, for Bhojpuri to be written, it was not the Devanagari we are accustomed to know, but Kaiti script. So I have examples of that to also show, as well as looking at the way forward. I mean, okay, so what's the initiatives now? Why learn Bhojpuri? Why is it a part of our identity? To decode that and now talk about what should be the initiatives for the rest of the year regarding teaching Trinidad Bhojpuri, to understand the chutney music or any domains, the domain in which they live. You mentioned Bollywood. Those who look at ZTV and all the Indian-oriented stations, or the ones that cater to those outside of India who are nationals and live outside, if you look at the soaps now and you look at the content, there's a lot of Bhojpuri content in it. So, I mean, we should take pride in that and try to, look at our specific identity.
You know, what I think is important for the spread of this language is that we do have a lot of people doing chutney music now. And if they could understand the Bhojpuri, you might be able to get better quality compositions with their songs.
I just want to say, being a student of Patwa and learning Patwa within a short space of 12 weeks, Bhojpuri, just like Patwa, is a spoken language and could be learned in a period of 12 weeks. You can become conversant, and as a chutney singer, it'll all go well for you to know the language and even compose lines in the song that could still say the tawdry, salacious things you want to, but it could also say uplifting things like Kabir Das, who wrote in Bhojpuri, by the way. It will improve our dexterity and expression in the Hindustani language in that art form.
Not only that, I am sure if you do that and you do it properly, you would be able to get international appeal.
That's the thing, and I think that when I go to Suriname and the Netherlands, like for instance the radio announcers who do Hindustani content, 80% of the announcers' content is in Hindustani. They speak in Hindustani Hindi. Also, if you perform the content, I think you owe respect to learn it. And one thing is you become more professional. Two is that you educate your public and you empower them in the knowledge of the language of their identity. And three is you open up a market for yourself internationally. And I think that a lot of them have missed the boat regarding that, because they still stay with a big fish in a small pond. They still stay in Trinidad, play on the fact that the audience don't understand, sing whatever they want, makes no sense. And then when it goes internationally, they miss the opportunity for somebody to say, hey, this is a good Bhojpuri song from Trinidad. Let's see if we can get this on an international market.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Now, as we seek to wind down this interview, let's repeat the information for tomorrow's lecture. Let's repeat the telephone. So tomorrow, somebody just can't walk into the university to attend that
No,
lecture?
they'll have an RSVP list. So once you
Mhm.
call, and I think you have until 12 today to call,
Mhm.
because we've been getting a lot of people wanting to
Okay.
come, yeah, and they're very interested in this because this is a topic a lot of people want to know about, but they don't get a forum to get that knowledge. So yeah, so essentially it will be at the library, University Library tomorrow, at the Alma Jordan Library, the main library, in the main campus at St. Augustine, on the 3rd floor, AV room. From 5 to 7 p.m. and people interested could again email Kumari Ramtahal at kumaree.ramtahal@sta.uwi, or they could call at 662-2002 extensions 82263 or 82009 or 82134 to RSVP.
All right, Doc, before we go, you know if, from your knowledge, if Bhojpuri is being taught anyway in Trinidad at this time?
Not in Trinidad, but because the Caribbean Hindustani network is broad for that, in Suriname, there is content to learn. And recently, some material was launched in the Netherlands regarding poems written in Suriname, as well as there's a book called Kahal in Dutch that teaches Suriname, as well as I want to give some recognition to Motilal Marhe, good friend of mine. He has written Suriname Byakaran in Dutch, and Byakaran means grammar. So they actually have a grammar book for their Suriname.
You think anytime soon we will have schools or teachers?
True. Well, I mean, that is the initiative of Caribbean Hindustani. Caribbean Hindustani would soon launch a website, and we will start creating media there, podcasts as well as videos to do it. Yeah.
All right, Dr. Visham Bimal, thank you very much indeed. We want to wish you all the best with this lecture tomorrow at the UWI. Remember, the venue is 3rd floor audiovisual room, the Alma Jordan Library, the University of the West Indies, and the name of that lecture tomorrow is Trinidad Bhojpuri, Decoding Identity. The presenter will be Dr. Visham Bimal. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed the session this morning.
All right.